if you can relate, you know, like say in his words, he says before President Obama became president, there was already 24 where a black man was president. So check, you see that there's a trend going somewhere. So if they're thinking that way out there, how is it that the producers or movie makers here hardly think in that direction, that we can shape the mindsets of the Nigerians with our movies?
The same reason we made this film, Power of One. Economic issues. People are struggling to survive. You have to eat first before you can think straight. You know, that's a major concern. I like to deal with issues, you know, but I also like to put food on the table. I have a family. So that's the problem. You know, by the time we get past struggling to survive on daily basics, you know, one will begin to be objective, so to speak, when approaching movies. But so far, we're doing it. It's not just about the money. The movies that can, I mean, you can move in and out of set within 2-3 months. But sometimes stories like these, the whole idea behind this film is to be able to change the mindsets of people. At least, if you can, but at least start, you know, start a process. Have people, we hope when they leave the cinema, they should be able to think different. They should look at themselves and ask that big question: what have I done to change the things I don't like about the way this country is being run?
Let's talk about 76. 76 was an extremely high budget movie, going by Nigerian standards. What inspired you to tell that story?
Well, 76 is, I grew up in the 70s. The events that the story highlights happened 3 years after I was born, 1976. So I happened also to live in the same compound where the principal character belongs to the family of the principal character in that 1976 school. So I remember vividly that very early,
really?
Yes, very early one morning, everyone in the compound was kicked out, soldiers everywhere, because when it was said that he visited Jos, because I was born and raised in Jos. You know, so I already have a relationship with that story, and of course,
I mean, that leaves a lasting impression in a child's mind.
Yes, it did. I didn't understand what I saw, but as years went by, I started getting enough information. Yes, started reading meanings to it. So that sparked up the interest, you know. And then I had an encounter with soldiers in 1999. I said that time I was here when I went to Yankari to shoot, and that also changed my mindset, because if you understand the role of the army in our politics for over 15 years, so you know that it's difficult not to talk about their role in this country in the past. Yeah.
You're currently looking for a distributor for that movie.
For 76?
For 76,
no,
yes.
We're not looking for this.
Oh, okay.
Yes, no, we don't.
Okay.
My bad.
You did 76, we were showing clips of it there, and I wanted to ask you, when you did that, having done it, it's shown, what has your relationship been like with the military? Have they been like, okay, that was a good story you told? And indeed, what has the nation, per se, the nation's reception of you been like for telling that story, considering the fact also that a lot of history of Nigeria is buried and nobody wants to touch it?
Yeah, that's the problem. You know, I got the support of the army. Yes, I waited for the army for like 2 years before. It's not as though they will stop me from making the movie, but it's always good if they're willing to tell these stories. And they came out and said clearly they're willing to, you know, to shed light into these stories. So the army was involved in the beginning, and after the film, we were invited by the Chief of Army Staff. We went to Maiduguri and we screened at the Chief of Army Staff conference. So it was well received. And you know, this is how we keep reviving our history, because you look at some of our archival materials are nowhere to be found. History is suffering in our schools. So you try to create fiction around real events and have archival materials buried in them forever.
And you did a lot of that. You brought in a lot of archival material
Yes, I brought,
into all of this.
exactly. I couldn't find them here. That's the problem. I got those archival material from Associated Press in the U.S. And I remember one funny incident was when I went to get, I was looking for the Radio Nigeria signature tune of the 70s. It was hell, you know. I couldn't find
Not
it.
even BBC could help you?
Radio Nigeria. First, you see, it doesn't even sound right to say that I'll have to go to BBC
to
get materials, just like
Nigeria.
I had to go to the US to get archival materials for an event that took place in this country.
Mm. So, okay, now you're done with 76. How did your family take it, seeing that they were embedded in the stories? How did they take it?
Yeah, well, my mom was a great storyteller, so she's a great storyteller. She tells stories. So some of the things I didn't understand about the time, she explained them to me, and they were very happy. Because one thing 76 will do to you is it will take you through a nostalgic experience. You know, it brings memories back, and you know, you remember the times.
Some good, some bad.
Yes, unfortunately, yeah, that's the problem again with our history. You know, you have little to celebrate. You know, that's the problem. That's just a challenge trying to make historical films. So you have to move away from the dark part of the history and try to bring some energy, some life into what has happened in that time. At that time, yeah.
That movie took you a long time to put together, and it cost you a lot of money as well.
How much?
And then it went ahead to win an award. When you were going through the trials of putting it together, did it ever occur to you that that movie was going to win an award?
Well, unfortunately, I don't make films for awards. I see an issue.
So you were surprised when the award came?
It's not as though I was surprised. Yes, somehow. I see an issue. I think if you're objective, if you tell a story, a good story well, the awards will come. So I have a burden in me to say something. Fortunately for me, I found a medium through which I can express myself. So I have a burden, I want to say something. I say it through movies, and if it is well said, the people will understand. And when they understand, they'll crown you with an award.
Which other historical feature are you looking to produce?
A lot. I love.
You want to let one cat out of the bag?
Yes,
Just one cat?
Yes, yeah. Well, I've done Queen Amina of Zaza. That's a historical piece.
You've already done that
yeah,
one.
Okay,
which one is in the pipeline?
Let's survive Power of One first. Power of One is out to go out and
that's not
watch
history,
it.
is it?
Yeah, no, that's not it. This will be Power of One will become history soon. If things change today, the country always make reference to.
Okay,
this
so when we're going to take a moment, when we'll come back, you tell us how you manage filmmaking, which takes a lot of time, and how you manage that with your family, because you talked about having a family, your children, and all. How do you manage all of that? But we'll do that when we return from this break.